Hey, YouTube. Well, last night I ran across this story. Story is the gospel singer James Fortune. Apparently, this is a man who had a past of being very violent in relationships. And now he has got a new wife, a new baby on the way. Question that people are asking is an abuser always an abuser? Can an abuser be redeemed? Is it safe for a woman to go into a relationship with someone who she knows has this history of abuse with other people? Is he the same person? Or will he do it again? Remember now, when this person was accused of his extreme domestic violence before, he was already a Christian. He was already in the church. He was already a professional gospel singer. So to say that now he's a changed man, he's a delivered man. Well, he was already a changed, delivered man when he was doing the violence. But I'm not here to ride on this man. He's got a new relationship. I don't want to speak down on something that I know so little about. But the issue is, I think, the abuse. Will he abuse the new woman as he's done with the other women? It's an interesting question. For me personally, no, I'm not getting involved in nobody who I know has a history of putting their hands on someone. And I'm not getting involved in a relationship, an emotional relationship, if I know that I had the capacity to put my hands on someone. Okay, so that's the subject. We're not gonna harp too much on his brother Fortune. I don't know that man. I don't know enough about him. I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist. He says that he has been in therapy for the last couple of years. He's he's under probation for this horrible incident between him and his ex. I think he's still got a year left on that, and now he's involved with another woman. I think a lot of people don't need to be in relationships. If you have proven that every time you get involved in a relationship, you become violent or physical, then you probably should not even attempt to be in a relationship. That's just can't be what part of your life. It's a sacrifice, something you have to accept. If I can't keep my hands to myself, that's not the best place for me. So we don't know the situation with this man, but I would think that after he'd done some of the things that he's accused of doing, which he admits to a lot of, he admits that he was an abuser, and there's a situation with a child even, a vindictive incident that I would think would be unforgettable for sure. Should these men be forgiven? Sure, you can forgive them. I think the person who's involved with them is going to have a lot harder time with that. But we as a society, we can forgive that person. But we can say, trust but verify. I can't just take you at your word that you're not going to do what you've done in the past. Sure, people change things. I used to be a thief my whole life. In and out of drugs. Before I even started doing drugs, I was a thief. I don't steal. I haven't stolen anything in years. Years. Since I've been clean. I haven't done a lot of things. I was obsessed with sex. I don't do it anymore. A lot of things can change. But when your emotions are involved and you're already a violent person, that is it somehow in your nature or in your makeup, will you be able to control it in the future? I guess they have counselors. I mean, they have anger management. They have situations where people learn how to deal with themselves. So maybe that is doable. I don't know. What you guys think? I know a lot of you women on here have had relationships with these guys, because it's different when it's male and female, because a man is obviously a lot stronger than a woman. No matter how good a shape she's in, she's still a woman, and the man should be putting his hands on her. So I don't know. I think for me, I would have to live with the person. I'm not walking into a marriage with nobody if they've been accused of those things just because they tell me that they are now delivered. For me, I would have to live with the person, know the person, and feel safe enough to even go that far to get in, to live with a person who is probably abusive. So that's it. I don't want to talk no more about that particular family because I don't know them well enough to know the details to be speaking really heavily on it. So just in general. In general. Be quiet, boy. My relationships with dogs. So anyway, so I'll tell you about my relationships. I had two relationships. The first one was just a childish kind of thing. We were both 20 years old. And the physical part did not break that relationship up. Although this person he tended to be violent if he got very angry or particularly drunk. And so I kind of know he had the capacity for that. It was an incident where I thought he tried to poison me. So that one ended. When someone tries to poison you, gives you a whole lot of drugs without your knowledge, I think it's time to move on. So after that incident, I didn't trust that person anymore. So he broke it up. But the second relationship where I was actually in love with this person, he was a more gentler type guy than me. Our relationship, we were together 3 years, and he still liked other people. He just liked other people. When I met him, he liked other people. We laughed about it. We talked about it all the time, and I knew that about him. So, but I fooled around and fell in love. I felt like being with him was worth whatever I had to put up with or deal with. And I guess part of me figured that if the relationship was so good, he wouldn't have a need to do all those other things. Well, those other things stayed in the relationship for the whole 3 years, and eventually we got in a fight. Physical fight. Now, after we got in the first physical fight, the days were numbered. See, I jumped on him. Justifiable. Never justifiable. Just put your hands on anybody. But we were drinking at the time. It involved another person. But I knew right then, after it goes there, it continues to go there. I didn't know that about myself. I didn't know that I would. I couldn't ever envision myself as putting my hands on anybody. I had made it all the way through school without ever getting in a fight. And pretty much my whole life without ever getting in a fight. But when the emotions were high, I felt justified. It went there. So we tried to make it work, talked about it, and it didn't happen for a long time. Second time it happened, I was out. So this person still wanted to be with me, and a huge part of me still wanted to be with him. Couldn't happen. I was not going to be involved in a volatile relationship, period. That was not going to happen. I was from that background, evil stepfather, evil mother's boyfriend, and much violence. My whole childhood was raised in this environment of violence. Violence perpetrated against her, and also violence perpetrated against me by her. It was kind of a hell because when you're a child, you can't do anything about it. And there's psychological scars that still remain. So that's not going to be something I'm going to participate in. The relationship is hot. Now, because I got into this one push fight, one physical fight with my partner then, 20-something years ago, does that mean that if I got in a relationship now, like that's going to happen? I think I'm pretty safe now with my 60-year-old ass. But yeah, I'll always be aware of that. Do I want to get involved in I want to get involved in a bad relationship, put it that way. You always hold out the hope that you would meet someone that would be so sweet and so good that nothing like that would ever happen. And I like to think of myself in that way. But I don't know. I don't know until I'm involved with one. You don't know a person until you live with that person. You don't know how angry you can get. Like if I got angry right now, I mean, who would know? I yell at the dog, I guess. You don't know until you're living with the person, and the people push those limits. So that's why I think it's better for people to live together first. Know the person you're going to marry. If you're going to be signing anything, it's going to tie you to that person legally, financially, spiritually. Before you make that decision, you should know who you're dealing with. If you and your boy get in a fight, he pushes you through a plate glass window, that's it. Honey, there is no going back. You and your boyfriend get in a fight, a serious fight. He's wild, mad, angry. He's wild, mad, angry, and he turns around and walks out the door. Then maybe you can work it out. As long as you can keep your hands. Now, there are a few incidents where a woman is the aggressor, too. I watch a lot of those TV crime things, and occasionally it happens. But generally speaking, it's the male. Particularly males who drink. People who, that edge, that alcohol gives them that edge to go a place where they wouldn't necessarily go. Check him out drunk. Check him out sober. Check him out when his heart is tied up and he's just about to snap. When he snaps, what does he do? Does he punch a wall or punch you in your face? So if he punches you in your face, I believe he'll do it again and again, and it escalates. Most of these stories you hear about women who have been killed by their husbands or domestic partners, most of it has escalated. Didn't start off with extreme violence. It escalated, it got worse and worse and worse. So, best of luck with Fortune Brother. I think one key thing, that's what I've said is the important thing, is the person can at least talk about it. Know if they can admit what they've done. They can cop to it. They can talk out loud about it. They can actually seek help about their issue, their problem. I think that's a much better place than if the person is not even willing to accept that they are an abuser. If they won't even accept that they're an abuser, and you've seen them, you have felt them being abusive, and you know them to be an abuser, I'd say that's pretty hopeless, at least at that particular time. If they aren't even going to accept the responsibility for what they've done, forget it. Run for your life, honey. All right, so people can be redeemed from things. I said I was a thief. I did all this horrible stuff. But I guess if I was the holy roller type, I could say, oh, I don't sin. I don't know, because I'm just old. You just don't do that much. I think a lot of it is just that. You grow out of certain things, I think a lot of times these people who are child abusers abuse their children. Many times the children just get too old to abuse. So they're no longer child abusers. I wouldn't have them babysitting my kids, but situations just change where they've just outgrown their usefulness. Their hands are no longer viable because those teenagers will punch them back. An abuser wants to abuse someone who won't hit them back. They want to hit someone who won't hit them back. That's abuse. So, anyway, this story got me thinking. And I'm still traumatized, I think, by the violence in my youth, in my childhood. That still affects me even now. Some of my attitudes, some of my prejudice about certain type of people. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you get involved with a person who you know to be an abuser in the past? If someone has abused their first wife, the second wife, do you believe that this time will be different and he won't abuse you? I'm curious. Maybe it's the conversation you can have later.